Welcome 8th graders. Well, today I want to talk about how to solve system of the equations when I have equations, for example, something like this. Okay, how do I solve it? I have a little problem. From yesterday, one of our equations always had y equals or x equals, right? Well, this one doesn't. So what do I need to do? Guess what? I have to pick one of those equations and solve for a variable first of my choice. So here are the notes how to do it. So how to solve system of equation by substitution, and if one of the equations is not already solved for one of the variables. Okay, what do? I'm going to choose one of the equations and solve it for a variable. Which equation to pick? The one which usually you do not have a coefficient in front of the variable. Okay, that's the easiest one to pick. And then you're going to do it as we always do. We're going to replace the variable in the other equation with the first equation, which is exactly what we did yesterday. Okay, so let's try. Pause it and take notes, and when you're done, let's keep going. Alright, here it is. How do I solve this problem? Let's analyze our equations. So I have negative 9x plus 5y equals negative 1. As you can see, negative 9 and 5 are coefficients, so I have coefficients in front of the variable. It will be pretty nasty if I want to solve it. It will be fractions. But here in the second equation, my y, is by itself. The coefficient is 1. I shouldn't say it doesn't have a coefficient. It has a coefficient of 1. So I can easily solve for y. How am I going to solve it? Well, imagine that negative 3x is like any other number. Okay? How would we have y by itself? Well, we'll add 3x to both sides of the equation. When we do it, what do we have left? Can we combine those? No, we cannot. So now we have y equals 3x plus 4. There we go. This equation right here and this one are exactly the same. I just move my numbers around. So I have this one and then my first one. So I'm going to write my first one. Okay. And I'm going to solve the same way how we did yesterday. So these two are my new equations. Okay, how am I going to do? Well, y is 3x plus 4, so I'm going to replace it in my second equation. So I have negative 9x plus 5. Instead of y, I'm going to write 3x plus 4, and that equals negative 1. I'm going to kiss parentheses goodbye by using distributive property. So I have negative 9x. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, I don't have parentheses anymore. Combine like terms. Negative 9 plus 15. Hopefully you answer 6x. Okay. Now I'm going to solve for x because that's what my intentions are, right? Solve for x and y. So subtract 20. Subtract 20. So I have 6x equals negative 21. So x equals negative 21 divided by 6. It's a little bit of fractions. I divide by 3, so it's negative 7/3 is my x. Whoops, not 7/3, sorry, 7/2. 7/2. 6 divided by 3 is not 3, 2. Which really, if I want to put it in a decimal form, it's negative 3.5, right? Okay, so which is my x. So now, what is my y? I can go to this one right here and put it back. Okay, so y I'm gonna move it to the side so you can see both, hopefully. So when I rearrange it, I have y equals 3x plus 4. If I plug it in, y equals 3 times negative 3.5 plus 4. Okay. 3 times 3.5 is 10.5 negative, right? Plus 4, which leaves me with negative 6.5. Negative 6.5. So my x is negative 3.5, my y is negative 6.5. So as you can see, my x and y not always are nice and clean numbers like we had yesterday, but pretty close. Okay, all right. This one is for you. Okay, try it. Go. All right, welcome back. So I'm going to pick equation to solve it. I'll pick the one where y is by itself. I'm going to solve it for y. So let me rewrite this equation very quickly. So I want y by itself, so I'm going to add 2x to both sides. I cannot combine like terms, so y really is 2x plus 3. Now I'm going to plug it into the second equation, which is right here. So 3x minus 2 times 2x plus 3 equals 0. So I have 3x. Now I'm going to distributive property, right? Negative 4x minus 6. Remember the signs, negative times positive. Okay, combining like terms, positive 3x minus 4x is negative x minus 6 equals 0. I'm going to add 6. Add 6, so negative x equals 6, but that's opposite of x, so get rid of it. I'm subtracting by negative 1, so x equals negative 6. Okay, so what's y? I'm going back right here. I'm going to rewrite it. So if x is negative 6, then I have y equals negative 12 plus 3, which means that my y is negative 9. My final answer, negative 6, negative 9. How'd it go? Oh, whoops. There you go. Hopefully it went well. Okay, one more. Okay, go ahead and stop and do it. All right, welcome back. Well, this one, I had some choices. I can either solve for y in this or y from here. Because y is positive in my first equation, I think that's the one I would choose. So I'm going to use the first equation to solve for y, which means I'm going to add 4x to both sides, which leaves me with y equals 4x plus 6. I'm keeping x's first before the whole number, but just using a x plus b form. Okay, then I'm going to plug it in to the second equation. So negative 5x minus 4x plus 6 equals 21. Do you see that negative in front of parentheses? Yes, I have to distribute that. So negative in front of the parenthesis means changing of all the signs or multiplying by negative 1. So negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Combining like terms, that's negative 9x minus 6 equals 21. I'm going to add 6. By add 6, that equals 27. If I divide by negative 9 next, that gives me x equals negative 3. Okay, if x equals negative 3, I am going to back to this one and plug it in. So y equals 4 times negative 3 plus 6, which is negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6. Final answer, negative 3, negative 6. Hopefully it went well. Oh, there you go. All right, and I talk to you guys in class. Okay, bye.